All right, Mr. Shawn Quinn, ex-professional poker player. So the topic is building and recruiting, and I want to get your take on, one of the things we talk about is, you can make good money as a sales rep, and I think that's kind of to be expected. But there's also a lot of people that kind of hang their hat on how many sales they personally make, and that's great. And personal sales is important, so that's not to be discredited. But the money is paid out. The big money is paid out by building and creating and recruiting. And so you do an excellent job of recruiting. And when I'm out with you, I see you shoot your shot all the time. And the last time I can think of specifically was at Halloween Horror Nights, and there are probably a dozen of us, and you were just consistently going up to people. And then I was looking at other managers watch you do it, and just judging by their demeanor, their body language, you could see how uncomfortable you were making them feel by you just approaching these people. So what do you think clicks for you where you feel this level of comfortability going up to a total stranger? And why do you think that there are some guys who are for whatever reason, they're fine with going up to a homeowner's door and pitching somebody getting rejected, but when it comes to their personal sales, when it comes to their personal recruiting, they feel weird about it?
Yeah, good question. The repetition part of it is part of it. I feel like even when I was younger and, college days, going through the bars and stuff, I treated even getting a woman's number as like a numbers game. It was, the correlation was the same. It was like, yeah, it's nice to hit a home run here and there, and the first person you talk to, you hit it off with them, but that's just not the case. Either she's taken, she's got, in this case, if it was a recruit, they've got a job that they like, right? They're not recruitable. So it's the same thing. You want to find somebody that's interesting that night, you probably need to talk to a handful of people, and not every conversation's directed at a very specific endpoint. It's like, hey, sometimes you just want to get in the habit of creating conversations just to do it, just because it's a skill and it's fun. And so with the recruiting, why am I comfortable with it? Why
aren't you afraid?
Why am I not afraid? Or what would make me afraid? I guess what would be the worst case scenario? Of course, it's always the standard. The worst they say is no, right? And so to me, I guess the way I've framed it is when I approach somebody and the whole idea is, hey, I want to know what you do for work and if you like it, because if you don't love it, I've got an opportunity I think I might want to see if you're a fit for, right? That's the whole goal. I go into it knowing that if they shut me down or they're not interested in that concept, it's still a compliment to them, right? I'm framing it in a way where it's like, I'm complimenting you by even coming up to you to say what's up, and entertain the idea of you working with our sales crew because you look the part, you carry yourself well, whatever it is. So I'm going to probably say those things in the conversation. It's like, hey, random question, what are you doing for work? They tell me. Well, dude, the reason I ask is we're aggressively hiring over at Vivint. It's sales. It's a really hard job. But the way you carry yourself, you look like somebody that would probably be really good in our world. If I can get you an interview, is that something you think you'd show up for? That the whole idea is I feel like I'm already complimenting them. So if they shut it down, it's not like me, It's like, and if they're not interested or they like what they're doing right now, I'm fine with all of that. And I actually encourage it when I'm in the conversation. I'm like, hey, if you love what you're doing, I don't want to take you away from that. But I'm looking for the guy or the girl that's like, hey, it's funny, I just quit my job because this, that, or the other, or yeah, I've been at this current place for a few months and hate it. It's like I'm looking to get that out of people. I'm not selling them on what I'm doing. And so, but to me, I'm pretty picky with who I like to approach for the job at least. And so I'm looking for a very charismatic looking person, good aura, good vibes, or the initial part of the conversation, they're very comfortable and chill. So I can bring those things up after the fact and just be like, hey, you seem cool, you seem nice, or you seem like you got a good head on your shoulders, you seem like you work out, you probably are a competitor in everything else you've done. I'm complimenting that person. So the conversation's never going to usually go to a point where it's like, I feel like awkward or I feel like I was inconveniencing them or bothering them, if that makes sense.
Do you ever talk to somebody that they should be recruiting more, and on the doors, they're totally fine with rejection?
Mm-hmm.
My theory is that they're okay with getting rejected by somebody that's 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. But as soon as they get rejected by somebody that's their age, it's like super off-putting to them, or it's weird. There's like a disconnect in it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know if you've thought about it necessarily through that angle, but one of the interesting things you did, and I don't know if you may still do this, but you had 2 gym memberships. And so you do like part of your workout at one gym with the expectation of recruiting people, and then you go on to another gym. Yeah. What are some other creative ways that you've thought about like tackling the recruiting thing?
Yeah, I think anything that gets me in front of people. Like, for instance, there's times I can easily afford an Uber Eats anytime I want, right? Or an Instacart, grocery shopping order. But I just do my best to put myself in a position to be in front of people. So I'll not do that and go out of my way to drive to the grocery store or go to the restaurant that I haven't been to. The gym membership one is fun because, I don't care to go there as much to get huge and yoked. It's more like, hey, while I'm there, I want to try to recruit 2 or 3 cool people. 1 or 2 on the floor, maybe 1 in the sauna. I bounce, but I'll do like chest here, and then I'll do try in the sauna at the next one. And the gyms are 10 to 15 minutes apart.
Sure.
It'd be 2 different crunches even. You don't even have to necessarily have a separate gym membership for that. You could literally just use the same membership multiple gyms. But the whole goal is just to try to put myself in a position where I'm in front of new people as often as I can. Other creative ones, a Busch Gardens pass in Tampa, I think is a really good one. Like you've got some cool workers there that might be good Vivint reps, but you also have a random group of people that you might run into on any given day, and that's pretty cool. That's probably one that people don't think of. The sporting events, lightning games, those sort of things, like I think those are great recruiting opportunities.
Do you have a policy where it's like, okay, if you go to the grocery store, the best year I ever did in recruiting, I had like policies where if I went to the gym, I had to approach, I don't remember if it was 1 person or 3 people. It was just bite size, was super manageable.
Yeah.
If I went to the grocery store, I couldn't leave the grocery store until I just talked to 1 person about the job.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's great. I try not to put too much pressure on myself to like, I have to do this or it's a fail. I don't want to feel that. But I love even when I walk out of a situation and somebody crossed my path that I didn't talk to, and mentally I go, I should have talked to that person. That's when you're starting to get into the swing of it, is when you start to see moments that you didn't shoot your shot or you missed it, but you're cognizant of that. Like, if anyone's trying to figure out how do I go from being somebody that never talks to strangers to being somebody that's cool to mention the job to 3 to 5 even people a day, it's like the moment you start almost getting annoyed at yourself for not approaching a person or a situation because it wasn't convenient, that's when you're getting close. You're getting really close. And the more that happens, the less it happens. The more you think about that situation, the less those situations start to occur because now you're actually shooting your shot every time you can. And
are you more of a warm network or a cold recruiter?
My whole situation's been cold. Now I've found a handful of guys.
Your background's a little bit different. Why is it?
I came in. Dude, I was 30, when I came here, and college was such a distant past. High school was even more distant. So, I wasn't from here. I wasn't from Clearwater. I came here with literally no friends other than David Ritchie and maybe one other random friend, but on the wrong side of 30 as well. So it was like, I just didn't have that network of 18 to 25-year-old, kids to like just jump into and throw into this thing. So yeah, I had to cold recruit off rip to get anything going. And it took a couple years of doing it consistent before it really started to materialize. It wasn't a very instant thing. But that said, I looked at the inputs. The inputs weren't crazy. I wasn't doing, nuts of numbers. You and I have discussed some potential like metrics that are going to yield like a almost an exact, number if done right. I wasn't hitting anywhere near those numbers that we discussed, like, approaching 100 people. Maybe I did that in a whole preseason, but I wasn't doing that every month, So I think I could have done more. It's like I've done well with the cold recruiting, but dude, I feel like I could have done way more.
What is the bare minimum a manager or an assistant manager? Because an assistant manager is just a manager, a manager is just an assistant that's done it 2 years in a row. Mm-hmm. What is the minimum amount of approaches somebody should have in a week?
So, and obviously you want to work backwards to what is the end goal, which is, maybe a new recruit you can work with, maybe 2, that you're like able to get plugged in and train with. I I mean, if you want like a realistic, simple goal on a daily basis, if you're approaching 5 people a day, and you're getting 2 to 3 numbers a day, you're probably going to have some traction from that. I think that would be like a good minimum to start with. And it sounds easy enough. Talk to 5 random strangers, but it takes effort. And then once you get good enough at that, there's no reason you can't do 10.
How are you getting these new guys to, a lot of people have talked about getting them to shadow, which obviously is relevant. I also think that just as important as getting somebody to shadow, it's just getting them to show up to anything. It could be the office, it could be a training, it could be shadowing. Shadowing is obviously great. It could be a Monday team hangout. I think the team hangouts are phenomenal because they're in there in a culture. But so let's look at the team hangout. How are you getting somebody that you approached on Saturday, you got their number? How are you phrasing the team hangout to get them to show up?
I'm probably already talking about it when we first meet.
Okay.
Like the guys that I've had successfully show up, guys that are just cold recruits that I just met on a campus or I met whatever at a gym. If I got them to the team hangout, there's a good chance that I talked about the team hangout in the first conversation. Like, hey, we exchanged info. By the way, Monday we're going to be doing this.
Do you phrase it like a work thing? Do you phrase it as just a fun thing?
It's like, hey, the company pays for me and our crew to just go do something fun. It's paid for. Top Golf, it's paid for. Do you like golf? Well, dude, I'll text you if you're down. Like, come hang out. It's a cool group of dudes. Like, not going to be a whole lot of work convo, but we're just vibing out. It's free golf and food. So that would be like a good way to seed that concept. And of course, like with my text message or two, if it's a few days before that, then yeah, I'm gonna just try to solidify that appointment or that meeting, whatever it is. My best results come from the same day. So like if I met you on a Monday on campus and we had something interesting that evening, whether it was Dave and Buster's or bowling, whatever it was, just almost funneling them into that, that day. Like that's worked well. I've done campus recruiting where I've had me and a guy or two go out and strategically say, hey, we're going to do some interviews between 5 and 6, and at 7 we're going to do Top Golf. So we're already telling guys that we're meeting that day. Hey, we're doing Top Golf tonight. It's a private event. It's invite only, but I'd get you in if you want to come. Kind of make it fun, a little bit exclusive. But yeah,
I like that. So one of the things that people, it's like, if you were texting your girl and you're like, all right, I got her number, but like, I'm gonna text her in 72 hours because I watched some pickup artists on YouTube say that.
Right.
That's stupid.
Doesn't work in our world.
100%. Our world is they are show interest. Let's get them moving to the next thing now. Not tomorrow, not 3 days from now. It's like now. You get a number earlier in the day, invite him to the Wednesday night meeting. Invite him to team hangout.
Yeah.
Anything you could do the same. And the same thing when you interview somebody. Get them to the next event immediately. Yeah. Whether it's shadowing or the team hangout. It's like there's got to be like step to step to step to step to step. Mm-hmm. And I think that's another thing. People are like, all right, I got their number. I'll hit them up in 2 weeks. It's like, dude, why even bother hitting them up in 2 weeks?
They've forgotten you. They've already forgotten you, and everything about that conversation is cold. Like, yeah, I would say if I got a guy's info today, I mean, best case, I'm getting on the phone with him that night just to talk, maybe talk a bit about the job, not quite doing an interview, but, maybe just ask some good questions, whatever. Worst case the next day. Like, I need to get something going the very next day, whether it was the interview was already booked or I at least want to get on the phone and talk to this person because, yeah, after a day or two of having your number, like they forgot you, and then everything about it just
it's a waste.
Yeah, it's a waste. Or you want to strike while the iron's hot. I mean, and I do feel like there is an amount of hand holding that needs to happen the first 2 weeks of a guy going from not knowing you or Vivint to showing up to stuff. That a lot of recruiters, if you will, that they really fumble the bag. There is. Yes, we want reps that come into this thing so hungry that we don't even have to tell them what to do. They just show up. That's great, and you're going to find those guys. If you're working hard enough, you're going to find just like you would find a lay down on the doors, you're going to find recruits that come into this like, get the hell out of my way. I'm going to show up to everything. Like, great. But majority of guys really need some like coddling the first couple weeks. Really until I get them on the doors by themselves. Like, I got to hold their hand to every little thing. I need to remind them multiple times about every little thing. And so I would say that the one thing is when you it's like fishing, man. You get a fish on the line. You need to keep that tension. You need to keep that thing reeling, bro. Because the moment you let loose and forget about it, it's going to snap the line or it's going to get off the hook,
That's a good
whatever.
Analogy.
So yeah, it's that to me is the one thing I've seen that I've done wrong at times, but I see a lot of recruiters really mess that up. Is They get a guy into an interview, and then, dude, they basically don't have any communication for a week or two, and it's like, well, why would this guy show up to anything? You haven't.
So let's put a rule in place. What would you say the longest it can be you recruiting somebody where let's say within their first 2 weeks, let's call it the red zone. What is the minimum that they need to be hearing from you? Is it?
Dude, honestly, if you did once a day, I think you're good. You're building a relationship with this person. I mean, dude, I talk to my best friends all the time. Like, it's very rare that my best friends. I have friends that I don't talk to for months. That's different. Those are homies. But my best friends, I'm probably communicating with them, texting them something every day. So I don't think you can over communicate with this person in the first 2 weeks. I really don't. If you're showing a lot of interest in them and they see you as somebody that's at least doing what they want to do, like they're gonna play ball. Like they're gonna want to respond and hang out. And so I wouldn't go more than a day or two. That's for sure. But even if you reached out at one point throughout the day, a text, a meme, whatever, something, keep the shit going. Keep this thing going. You know, it's about building a relationship, not so much just like how do I make this guy show up to stuff.
Sure.
It's like, dude, try to actually build a little bit of a bond with him.
So last question. This is it's a superhero question, maybe a Superman versus Batman. Would you rather be the top salesman? Would your superpower to be the number one salesman or the number one recruiter?
Okay. I'm not either, but I've already chosen my road, and that is the recruiter side. I see value in selling at a high level. I see diminishing returns after a certain point, you know, and there are exceptions to that rule. There are certain guys that somehow can do both, but to me, that's been pretty rare from what I've seen. There's just too much give and take happening after a certain amount of sales. To me, 150 is crazy respectable if you're a good recruiter. If you're a good recruiter, you're running good teams, and you're doing 150, plus you're a stud. You know, if you haven't quite gotten to that point where you have a big enough team to deal with, then do 200. Once you get over 200, I find most guys there's diminishing returns in terms of what they can offer their team and help their team with. Because think about it, man. I mean, we watched LeBron James, and it looks impossible to be LeBron James, right? Like, if you're a basketball fan, you watch that, and it's impossible. But, you know, put a sixth man. I can't even think of what the guy's name is. He used to play for the Lakers, white guy who was balding. A lot of us felt like we could, that's why he was so popular in my opinion, is everyone felt like, dude, I could be that guy somehow. Like, I don't know how, but I could be that guy because it was attainable. Like, selling 200 accounts is very attainable for anybody. Like, I believe that. Selling 300 plus, you got to be a little different, man. You know, and you've sold 300.
Yeah. And
it's different, bro. Like, I think sometimes we look at those guys and we admire it. If you're just a human, you know, a 60 account rep, you see that 300 account rep and you admire it, but you don't feel like you can ever be it, you know? Whereas the guy doing 150, 175, or even 200, you watch what he does. He's not doing anything overly impressive. He's not dropping 25 a week. You know, he's just finding a way to do 2 a day. And a lot of us can kind of see like that's possible. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So I think the top sales reps are important, but they're a lot less important than probably a lot of us give them credit for. Like, we take them out of the overall equation right now, and we're still doing damn good. But they're awesome. They're cool. But I don't aspire to be one. No, I don't want to be the 400 account rep. It's just not my bag. Do I think I could do it? Yes, I absolutely do believe it's doable. I don't think it's impossible, but I do believe it would require more dedication and focus to that thing than I would want to put effort into, because I'd rather put more effort into finding people that I can build up and develop, and at the end of the day, we're a business, and a business wants to do volume, you know, and as a human, a single person, I can only do so much volume. So naturally, I saw this opportunity and knew right away, like, hey, I can duplicate myself. I can't duplicate myself as a 300 account rep 10 times.
Sure.
But I can duplicate myself as a 150 account rep, probably 20 if I really want, you know? And so it's just the law of averages, man. It's not rocket science. I appreciate the top sales guys. Don't aspire to be one. And I don't really try to encourage my people to do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Superhero Shawn. Thanks, Shawn.